Hi, little babies. It's Dr. Meady. I'm reporting from the shores of Lake Erie here in Erie, Pennsylvania, right down by Presque Bay. 20 miles across the lake is Canada. You can keep Justin Trudeau. He's a freakamoid. The Canadians are so different anyway. They're so politically correct and everything has to be done for equity and that lingo that they come up with now to control people. You know, uh, we got a war going on over in Israel. No way they didn't know that these people were coming to attack them. And now it looks like there's going to be a giant bloodbath, giant bloodletting. They're going to go in and relocate all those people in Gaza, send them to Saudi Arabia and Syria and Iran. Get rid of them. What it is, just like a giant concentration camp. That Gaza, they put up walls. You're not allowed to leave unless you have permission. But it sort of harkens back to Nazi Germany when the Jews were in concentration camps. I mean, I'm not trying to be any kind of philosopher, but it's ironic that they control people that they want to subject and keep under subjugation. And, well, after everything the Jews went through during World War II, especially all the concentration camps in Poland, there's hardly any Jews left in Poland, maybe a couple hundred. They better get the hell out of there. They beat feet out of there and went to Israel. And they created that new nation of Israel, thanks to the involvement of Great Britain and international power brokers. Had to give them a homeland. That was what Moses or Abraham gave to them, centuries ago. But I just don't like the idea of slaughtering people. You have to, put them under the jackboot and crush their lifeblood out of them. It's interesting, though, is how resilient these people are, living under the worst conditions. But I thought it was pretty horrific when they turned the electricity off. They turned the water off. They stopped all food shipments going into the Gaza Strip. And that's pretty barbaric. Put them under siege. How long will they last without those supplies? Not long, I tell you. But I think the Muslim nations need to step forward and get those people out of there and just give that land to Israel. Get it over and done with. Because there's not going to be a two-state solution. The Hamas and Hezbollah and all those people. They want, they chant, death to Israel, death to Israel. How about the protesters in Sydney, Australia, yelling, gas the Jews, gas the Jews? I mean, these people are idiots. Now, what happens in Paris and Germany, they have these giant protests that get out of control. They have these giant no-go zones in these countries when they allowed all these Muslim immigrants to flood into Europe back in 2014, 2015. And they established themselves in these enclaves and, Muslim ghettos, basically. And, whenever something upsets them, they go protest, and then they go haywire. And then they burn, loot, arson, destroy cars, destroy property. And, you got to have law and order. That's all there is to it. When the Wild West in America was being settled, they had some outlaw towns. They had some pretty rough dudes going into the bars and drinking up a storm and shooting each other over a remark or a look or a glance. And, it wasn't until the lawmen came in and put these people in their place that they were able to get control of these towns and make them fit for civilized society. Now, what happens is when you have millions of people marching in New York City, Chicago, Berkeley, and all these left-wing Stanford and Harvard. Harvard got into the news because they're pro-Palestinian. I think 28% of the Harvard student population is Jewish. But be that as it may, there's so much anti-Semitism. I mean, look what that asshole did in Pittsburgh a couple of years ago. He went in there with some ARs and, shot up the whole congregation, killed them dead, and he's under penalty of death right now. I think the federal government's going to put him to death. State of Pennsylvania won't. They have a death penalty, but it hasn't been used in a long time. Because that's a Democrat thing to do. They don't like putting people to death because, they could be innocent. We get the DNA 20 years later and it'll make them prove them innocent. But, I mean, some of these people are bad. Just bad, evil. Now, listen, little babies. We got to pray, We'll keep ourselves humble and thank God for every day. Because we never know where we're going to go. I have pulmonary fibrosis. My lungs are shot. Some days I can't hardly get out of bed and move around my apartment. I'm like an old cripple. I'm only 66. But, I'll deal with it. I figure if I live to 70, I'll be okay. Just as long as nothing serious like cancer kicks in or some shit like that. But anyway, I keep on keeping on. That's all I can do. Today I had this is my menu today. 2 Hot Pockets, a bowl of ramen noodles, a ham sandwich, and some peanut butter and strawberry jelly and some grape juice. Man, I'm living large, I tell you. Well, it's cheap too. It was only like $12 worth of food. So, but it's expensive these days. I mean, I could spend $15 a day on food easily every day. I mean, the food prices have shot up so much, it just blows my mind. They wanted $5 for a box of crackers. I said, come on, man. These used to be $1.35. Now they want $5. Oh, they're so greedy. Now, listen, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this national oil reserve that Biden drained. It's at like 6% capacity. This is our supposed emergency oil that Biden, he sold it to the Chinese. Our great friends and allies, the Chinese, the Chicums. Because he likes the Chicums because they gave Hunter lots of money and they gave him lots of money. I think he's so, what's the word? I'll think of it in a minute. But, the other thing is the southern border thing, man. What Joe Biden has done to the southern border and letting millions of people in is criminal. He should be charged. He should be in prison. You just lost control of the border. You let all these strangers in. You don't know who they are, where they're from, what their histories are. You never got any biometrics, fingerprints, or iris scans to identify them. Flag them through, give them a little fake government ID card, and say, hey, have fun up in New York and Chicago. Because that's where my friends, the Democrats, run. They love to have immigrants. They're sanctuary cities. So, but, these people are freaking blithering idiots. We have no money left. These people are going to need shelter and food and, all kinds of needs met. And the country's broke. I gave $120 billion to Ukraine. And they lost. I mean, they got their asses kicked, 450,000 of their soldiers dead. And they won't come to a peace agreement. I think that stinks. But these immigrants are going to just start flooding every little small town and city across the country. And when you have that many people coming across, they're going to be a big push to move them out and move them around. So they'll be coming to a city near you. Maybe your own city. Maybe your little town will be bringing 500 invaders to set up in your hometown. They can have some fun robbing your house and playing with your daughter. Your 12-year-old daughter. Yeah, because there's some sick pricks, some of them. Now, America's turned into an open-air mental institution. You look at these big cities where these homeless populations roam, and they're so stoned on drugs. They're living in tents and campers in squalor. They defecate on the streets. It's horrible what this country's become. But, I got to blame California, for these stupid laws they pass, where, you can steal up to $999 worth of goods. You won't be prosecuted. You take it and leave. We won't do anything to you. And, without any kind of law and order, the civilization just falls apart. That's what happens when, you have idiots like Gavin Newsom and all these left-wing politicians out there in California. California's bad. I tell you what's going to be happening is there's going to be putting a national sales tax on goods. And the country's so desperate for revenue, I could see them putting a 2.5% to 3.5% sales tax on every purchase you make, whether it's food, whether it's clothing, whether it's services, like when you get your car fixed or your hair done. And they are so desperate for money right now that this is the only thing that they can come up with. I never met a Democrat who met a tax he didn't like. I mean, those Democrats, they love the taxes. It gives them power and control, and it gives them money they can spend. These idiots. They've really, messed this country up pretty bad, I hate to see it, because it's just, that's their agenda. Look at Crooked Hillary. She's flapjawing again about the deplorables and the Trump magalites, acolytes, Trumpy's acolytes. We're dangerous because we like Trumpy. He's the Trumpmeister. We love the Trumpmeister. He has diplomatic immunity for many of these charges that they, fixed against him. Those trials are so fixed. The one in Washington, D.C. about the January 6th thing, that's a kangaroo court. That judge hates Trump. She's verbalized it on numerous occasions. There's no way you can get a fair trial in her courtroom. And besides, 95% of the jurors are registered Democrats. Washington, D.C. is like the most Democratic place in the country. They want to grant statehood to Washington, D.C. and to Puerto Rico because that will ensure a Democrat majority forever and ever and ever. It'll be one-party rule until something so bad happens, they screw up so bad that, the Republicans could take over. But, I mean, it's a long shot. You can wait forever for something like that to happen. But right now, I think 2024 is the time for the Republicans to really hammer down on the border situation, the inflation, the crime, and insecurity, and people feel in danger. And you can't even walk your own street without, getting shivved by some mugger who wants to steal your jewelry, your wallet, or some of these idiots, they just want to go punch you in the back of the head and knock you down to the ground. These people in New York City who roam the subway stations and find a victim standing close to the tracks. And they just push them off right as the train's coming. Train turns them into spaghetti. I mean, it's pretty sick, We got some serious problems here in this country, but nobody's addressing them because nobody wants to face reality. Reality is so, It's such a mystifying thing, reality. Oh, I live in my dream world. I watch TikTok and Instagram, and oh, I hang out with my friends on social media, and we talk about the stupidest stuff ever. But it's so fun. We have fun. Well, America, when are we gonna wake up? I might not be around in 5 years, but you will be, and it's up to you to make the change and get this place back where it needs to be. We need law and order. You know, when the West was settled, they had some pretty lawless towns out there in Oklahoma and New Mexico and Arizona territory and the Nevada territory. And, you know, they needed the federal marshals in there to get a handle on what was going on. And then they hired lawmen, the sheriffs, and the other law enforcement. And they eventually brought peace to these outlaw towns and quieted everything down. And we just need to quiet everything down here in this country because it's out of control right now. But I tell you, Biden hasn't helped. You know, I think he's a cadaver, really. And the military has special drugs to keep him reanimated. And they may even use artificial intelligence to make it look like he's alive. They're fooling everybody. He's actually a cadaver. But I'm just saying that as a joke. Well, listen, little babies, it was nice chatting with you tonight. And I hope you have a great day tomorrow. Be happy, be smiling, and get lucky. All right, bye-bye.